Question number 1. So Patricia invested 24,500 in 3 unit trusts. She divided the money into 3 different unit trust accounts, P, Q, and R. So at the end of the year, she obtains a profit of 1,300 ringgit. The annual dividend for the accounts are 4%, 5.5%, and 6% respectively. The final amount of money in account P is 4 times that in account Q. So the question is, how much money did she invest in each unit trust account? So before we start, let us label, all right, the money that Patricia invested in unit trust of account P as small letter p, and the money invested in the unit trust account Q as small letter q, and the money invested in the unit trust account R as small letter r. So we're going to use this small letter PQR to represent the money in the account in the unit trust. So first, we're going to form the equation based on the information that we have in the questions here. So first is Patricia invested 24,500 ringgit in 3 unit trusts, which means the amount of money P plus Q plus R is equal to 24,500. So the first equation is P plus Q plus R equal to 24,500. Next, we can obtain another equation based on the profit of 1,300 here. So this profit is coming from the annual dividends. Alright, so for account P, the annual dividend is 4%. So to calculate the dividends that Patricia gets for the money that is invested in the account P, we are going to multiply the money invested in account P with 4 over 100. So that is the dividends in the account P, plus with the dividends in the account Q, which is 5.5%. So it's going to be Q multiply 5.5 over 100. So that is the dividend for Q. And for unit trust in the account R, which is 6%. So we're going to multiply R with 6 over 100. And this is going to give you the answer of 1,300. Now, next, I'm going to multiply each of the terms here with 100. By doing so, this 100 for the PQR here, we can cancel it. Therefore, here we're going to have 4P plus 5.5Q plus 6R equal to 130,000. So the other equations that we can form is from this information, the final amount of money in account P. So the money in the account P, which is the small letter p, is 4 times that in account Q, which means P is equal to 4Q. Alright, so that is the equations that we can form. Alright, so now let us label this as equations number 1, this one as equations number 2, and P equal to 4Q as equations number 3. So for here, I'm going to use the methods of substitutions. So in equation 3, I already have P as the subject of the formula. Therefore, here I'm going to substitute the equations 3 into equations 1. Alright, so the P here, we're going to substitute it with 4Q. Therefore, you're going to have 4Q plus Q plus R equal to 24,500. So 4Q plus Q is equal to 5Q plus R equal to 24,500. Alright, so this we're going to label it as equations number 4. Next, I'm going to substitute the equations number 3 now into the equations number 2. So here you're going to have 4P. So the P here we're going to substitute it with 4Q plus 5.5Q plus 6R equal to 130,000. So 4 times 4Q is 16Q. When you plus it with 5.5Q, you're going to get 21.5Q plus 6R equal to 130,000. So this one we're going to label it as equations number 5. So now let us look at equations 4 and 5. Now we can solve it like the simultaneous linear equations. So here I'm going to eliminate the R. To eliminate the R, the equation number 4, I'm going to multiply it with 6. So equations 4, I'm going to multiply it with 6. So each of the terms in the equations 4, we're going to multiply it by 6. Therefore, you're going to have 30Q plus 6R equal to 147,000. Alright, so this one we're going to label it as equations 6. So by doing so, we already equalized the R here. So now let us look at equations 5 and 6. To eliminate the R, we're going to use equations number 6 minus equations number 5. So 30Q minus 21.5Q, this one is equal to 8.5Q. So 6R minus 6R is equal to 0. And 147,000 minus this 130,000 is going to be 17,000. Alright, so the Q is equal to 17,000 divided by 8.5, which is equal to 2,000. So the amount of money that Patricia invested in the account, in the unit trust account Q, is equal to 2,000 ringgit. Now next, I'm going to substitute the Q, which is equal to 2,000. I'm going to substitute it in equations number 4. So equation number 4 is 5Q. So the Q here we're going to replace it with 2,000 plus R equal to 24,500. So now we can find what is the R. So the R is equal to, so 5 times 2,000 is 10,000. So we're going to move it to the right hand side. So 24,500 minus 10,000, which is equal to 14,500. So this is the amount of money that Patricia invested in the unit trust account R. Last, we're going to substitute the Q equal to 2,000 into equations 3 to find what is the P. So P is equal to 4Q, so 4 times 2,000, which is equal to 8,000. So 8,000 ringgit is the amount of money that Patricia invested in the unit trust account P. Question number 2. Billy Restaurants ordered 200 stock of flowers in conjunction with Mother's Day. They ordered carnation, which costs 1.5 ringgit per stock, roses, which cost 5.75 ringgit per stock, and daisy, which costs 2.6 ringgit per stock. of the three types of flower order, the number of carnation was the largest. Meanwhile, the number of roses was 20 stalks less than that of daisy. The total price of the flower is 589 ringgit and 50 cents. So the question is, how many flowers of each type were ordered? So first, let us label the number of stalks of, the first one will be the carnations. So the number of stalks of the carnation, let us label it as X. The number of stalks for roses, let us label it as Y. And the number of stalks for daisy, we're going to label it as Z. So we're going to use the letter X, Y, Z here to represent the flowers. So next, we're going to form the equations based on the informations in the questions here. So the first one will be the Billy restaurants ordered 200 stalks of flowers, which means the number of stalks for the carnations plus the roses and daisy, X plus Y plus Z, is equal to 200. So that is the first equation. So the next equation is based on the price of the flowers. Alright, so here we have the total price of the flower is 589 ringgit and 50 cents. So to calculate the numbers, to calculate the price for the carnations, we are going to multiply the number of stock of the carnation, which is the X, with 1.5 ringgit. So the price for the carnations will be 1.5x. And the price for the roses, we're going to multiply the number of stock of the roses, which is the Y, with 5.75. So we're going to have 5.75y. And the price for the daisy, we're going to multiply the number of stock, which is the Z, with 2.6. So which is going to be 2.6Z. So the total price will equal to 589 ringgit and 50 cents. And the third equations that we can form is based on these informations. The numbers of roses was 20 stock less than that of daisy. So the number of roses, we already labeled it as Y, is 20 stock less than of daisy. So daisy is Z, 20 stock less is going to be Z minus 20. So now we want to label this equation as 1, 2, 3. Now for the equations number 3, I have Y as the subject of the formula. Therefore, I'm going to substitute the equations number 3 into equations 1 and 2. So first, I'm going to substitute the equations number 3 into equations number 1. So X plus Y. So the Y here, we're going to substitute it with Z minus 20 plus Z equal to 200. And we're going to solve for the like term. So X is only 1 here, so it's just going to be X plus Z here, we're going to have 2Z, and we're going to move this negative 20 to the right hand side. It's going to be 200 plus 20, which is 220. So this one, we're going to label it as equations number 4. Next, we're going to substitute the equations number 3 into equations number 2. So 1.5x plus 5.75y. So the y, we're going to replace it with z minus 20 plus 2.6z equal to 589.5. So here we're going to expand it. So you're going to get 5.75z minus 5.75 multiplied. This 20 is 115. So here you're going to have the same thing. So next we're going to solve for the like terms. So 1.5z is alone there, so just 1.5. So 5.75z plus 2.6z is 8.35z. And we're going to move this negative 115 to the right hand side. So it's going to be 589.5 plus 115, which is 704.5. So this we're going to label as equations number 5. Alright, so now let us look at equations 4 and 5. Now we can solve this just like the simultaneous linear equations. So here I'm going to eliminate the x. Therefore, I'm going to equalize the x. So for the equations number 4, I'm going to multiply it by 1.5. So each of the terms here, we're going to multiply it by 1.5. So here you're going to have 1.5x plus 2z times 1.5 is going to be 3z. And 220 times 1.5 is going to be 330. So this I'm going to label it as equations number 6. So now we already equalized the x, 1.5x and 1.5x for equations 6 and 5. Now to eliminate the x, we're going to use equations 5 minus equation 6. So 1.5x minus 1.5x is equal to 0. 8.35z minus 3z, which is equal to 5.35z. 704.5 minus 330 is equal to 374.5. So to find the value of z is 374.5 divided by 5.35, which is equal to 70. So that is the number of stalks for Daisy. Next, we're going to substitute the z equal to 70 into equations number 4, so that we can find the value of x. So equation number 4 will be x plus 2z. So the z, we're going to replace it with 70, so it's equal to 220. So x is equal to, so 2 times 70 is 140. Move it to the right hand side. You're going to have 220 minus 140. So x is equal to 80. So the number of stalks for carnation is 80. Next, I'm going to substitute the z, which is equal to 70, into equations number 3 to find the value of y. So equation 3 is y equal to z, which is now going to be 70 minus 20. So y is equal to 50. So y is the number of stalks for roses, which is equal to 50. Question number 3. Ramasamy wants to buy pens, pencils and notebooks for the new school terms. He has 102 ringgit to spend. The price of a pen is 5 ringgit, a pencil 3 ringgit and a notebook 9 ringgit. Ramasamy intends to spend the same amount of money on pen and pencil. the total number of pens and pencils to be purchased must be equal to the number of notebooks to be purchased. So the question is, how many of each item will he purchase? So write a system of equations to solve these problems. So first, let us label the number of pens using the letter X, the number of pencils using the letter Y, and the numbers of notebooks using the letter Z. So now let us form the equations based on the information that we have. So first is Ramasamy has 102 ringgit to spend, which means the amount of money for the pens, which is the number of pen X times this RM5 plus the number of pencil Y times this RM3 plus the price for the notebooks, the Z multiplied this RM9 is going to be equal to 102. So the first equations that we will write is 5x plus 3y plus 9z is equal to 102. The second equations we can form based on this sentence. Ramasamy intends to spend the same amount of money on pen and pencil. So the amount of money on pens will be the x multiplied the 5. So 5x is equal to the price, the money of the pencil, which is the 3y. So that is the second equations. And the third equations will be the total number of pens and pencil to be purchased must be equal to the number of notebooks. So pen and pencil, the total will be x plus y. So it's equal to the number of notebook, which is the z. So here we're going to label this equation as 1, 2, and 3. So here I'm going to solve it using the substitutions method. For this case, I'm not going to choose the equation 3, even though equation 3 have the z as the subject of the formula, because in equations number 2, I don't have the variable z. So from here, I'm going to choose equations number 2. From equation, I'm going to let the x to be the subject of the formula. So x is going to be 3y divided by 5. So this one I'm going to label it as equations number 4. So I'm going to use this equations number 4 and substitute it into equations 1 and equations number 3. So the first one, I'm going to substitute equations 4 into equations 1. So 5x. So the x, I'm going to replace it with 3y over 5. So plus 3y plus 9z equal to 102. So here we can cancel for the 5. So therefore you're going to have 3y plus 3y, which is equal to 6y plus 9z equal to 102. So this I'm going to label it as equations number 5. Next, I'm going to substitute the equations number 4 into equations number 3. So the x in equations number 3, we're going to replace it with 3y over 5 plus y equal to z. Now, to get rid of the number 5 as the denominator here, we're going to multiply each of the terms with number 5. By doing so, the denominator of the 3y will be cancelled. So now here we have 3y plus this 5y. Right? So here we're going to have add y. And this 5z, I'm going to move it to the left hand side. So add y minus 5z is equal to 0. So this I'm going to label it as equations number 6. So now let us focus on equations 5 and 6. Here we can solve it using the simultaneous linear equations. So here I'm going to eliminate the y. So first I need to equalize the y first. So 6 and 8, they have the lowest common multiple of 24. Therefore, the equations number 5, I'm going to multiply it by 4. So each of the term in equations number 5, multiply it by 4. So you're going to get 24y plus 9 times 4 is 36z equal to 1 or 2 times 4 is 408. So this one I'm going to label it as equations number 7. And for equations number 6, I'm going to multiply it by 3. So 8y times 3 is going to be 24y. So 5z times 3 is going to be 15z. So 3 times 0 is still going to be 0. So this is the equations number 8. So now we already equalized the y, so we can eliminate it by using equations number 7 minus equations number 8. So 24y minus 24y is equal to 0. 36z minus negative 15z is the same as 36z plus 15z. So you're going to have 51z equal to 408 plus 0 is still going to be 408. So z is equal to 408 divided by 51. So z is equal to 8. So the number of notebooks is 8. Next, I'm going to substitute the z, which is equal to 8, into equations number 5 in order to find the value of y. So 6y plus 9z, so the z I'm going to replace it with 8 equal to 1 or 2. So next, 6y is going to be 102 minus this 72. Alright, so 6y is equal to 30. Therefore, y is equal to 5. So y is the number of pencil. So the number of pencil is equal to 5. Next, I'm going to substitute the y equal to 5 into equations number 4 to find the value of x. So x is equal to 3y. So the y I'm going to substitute with 5 divided by 5. So it's going to be 15 divided by 5. So x is equal to 3. So the x is the number of pencil. So the number of pencil is equal to 3.